I was just tying my hair up after I saw my reflection, and I'm like, oh, I look like I've been raped by a zombie.
I think you would look much worse if you were raped by a zombie.
Well, no, because I don't know if you know, but zombies are pretty weak. They're not like in the movies. In the movies, they're all like, rah, I'm strong and I can get you. But they're undead, so they're going to be weak as shit. You're going to be able to fight them off.
Is that
Probably.
right? So you know this from experience?
No, I just think that's obvious. Just obvious. Everybody knows an undead corpse is not going to be strong.
But, well, you would think, I guess it depends on how long they've been dead for. Well, we do have a podcast to do, so maybe we should do that rather than debating the strength of zombies that might attack you.
Well, I'm just glad today that it is a podcast that is audio and not video. Although my dad did used to say that I had a face for the radio.
You don't have a face for radio. I had a doctor tell me that once. Fucker.
Really?
Yeah, when I had skin cancer
Mm-hmm.
on my nose, and I had some videos coming up that I needed to do some promotional videos for the radio. And I said, is it going to be healed in time for these videos? I think it was in like 2 weeks or something. And he's like, oh, no, definitely not. You'll just have a face for radio now. Don't even worry. I literally started crying because I was already, like, I went in and was like, I have this little bump. And he looks at me and he's like, that's cancer. And he just does this core punch thing. And then he put one stitch in it that was like this blue, like fishing wire, and then booked my surgery. And I was like, yeah. So my poor daughter, who was with me at the time, had to walk me up to reception, and I'm just standing there crying with like blood dripping down my face. And yeah, he was an asshole.
Shit.
I know.
I think that was just after I met you, because I remember doing a promotional video for the school, the hypnotherapy school, and you were very sure to which side of your face could be on camera because you just had your surgery a few weeks before.
Yeah. Well, it was in 2018. Yeah. So I think we'd only known each other a few months.
Yeah.
By this point. Interesting.
Yeah.
So, welcome. We are WTF Stories and Advice. I'm Caroline Cranshaw.
And I'm Daryl Gove.
And we talk about all kinds of random shit, basically.
Which hopefully keeps you a little bit entertained.
Hopefully. And today I thought we would do some true crime, because that was like the premise of what I started this show on. Was I wanted it to be a true crime show, but I wanted to also have the freedom to do other things. But it's been brought to my attention by several listeners that we have not been doing true crime lately. So I thought we would.
Yay! And the bonus is that this is as new to me as it's going to be to you guys. You guys might even know more, because I'm just really not usually into true crime. I never read it, don't watch it. So whatever Caroline tells me, it's always such an engaging story. It's super interesting.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I think I mentioned the name and you really didn't know anything. Is that correct?
No, but the headline sounded scary. So I'm like, okay, do that. Because I do like horror, i.e. zombies, and scary things like ghosts. And although murder's not my, I don't want that in my neighborhood, I'm happy to hear about, scary stories. So, and the name was, makes me think of the alcohol.
The alcohol.
What was her name?
So I'm going to tell you the story of the kidnapping and more of Sherri Papini.
Yes, Sherri. Sherri baby.
Oh, Sherri, I gotcha. Yeah, I'm like, what alcohol are you talking about? Of course.
If somebody kidnapped my Sherri, I would be so upset with them.
I don't really drink sherry.
I don't think anybody does, except perhaps like at the end of a 5-course meal in a 1970s restaurant.
Well, my partner, he was saying that he was allowed a little glass of sherry when he was growing up. That's how he could have some alcohol, was to have a little bit of mum's sherry.
And isn't sherry just whiskey?
I thought it was fortified wine.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
I like alcohol, but I am not a connoisseur of alcohol.
I think brandy's whiskey, so maybe you're right. Sherry might be like port or strong wine.
Yeah, a form of port, I think. But this is not an alcohol appreciation podcast, so don't come for us, okay? All right. So this is the story of Sherri Papini. And I remember this at the time and being very interested in the case, as I am with any new exciting case, because I personally do love true crime. I've eased off of it recently because after being too obsessed, it was giving me anxiety.
Oh.
Yeah, it's only, I think the more intense work gets and my clients get, the
Mm-hmm.
less I'm able to consume a lot of true crime.
Mm.
As I think my nervous system can only take so much horrible things to hear about. But this one isn't horrific, and that's the good thing. And there is closure. So, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. In November 16th, 2016, the case of Sherri Papini, a 34-year-old mother of two, captivated the nation. So she vanished after going for a jog near her home in Redding, California.
Mm-hmm.
So Sherri's husband, Keith Papini, first became concerned on November 2nd, 2016, when he was informed that his wife had not picked up the kids from the daycare.
Mm-hmm.
When he returned home, his wife was not there. He eventually used the Find My iPhone feature to locate her cell phone and found her phone and her earbuds on the side of the road about a mile from home.
Well, that must have freaked him the fuck out.
Yeah, with like
Yeah.
strands of hair. But
No.
it looked like they were just placed there. It didn't look like a struggle.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there wasn't dirt or leaves or something to show a struggle. I remember reading that fact and I thought, the police must have found that interesting. But you can grab people by surprise and I don't know.
That's a cool feature. I didn't know about this Find My iPhone until I was watching this series on Netflix, and one of them gets kidnapped, and he tracks the kidnapper by the Find My iPhone function. Is this not? I mean, I've got an Android. Do most couples that have iPhones, do you just have a tracking device of each other, or how does that work?
Pretty much. I track
Yeah,
my partner everywhere he goes. No, I'm just
that's.
kidding. We have it for each other. Basically, you can share your locations with family members. So I have my
Mhm.
partner and all the kids. And then I can just see where they are at any time. Like my daughters are both away in different cities at university, and I still can see where they are at all all the time. And it just, not that I'm like checking every day to see where they are, but for me, it gives me peace of mind knowing where
Yeah,
they are and if they were in trouble or not able to communicate or something happened, that I would know exactly where they were.
yeah.
I think it's funny how some people won't allow their children to have phones and they say, "Oh, it's not safe." And you're way more safe, I think, if your child has a phone where you can track them.
Yeah, I suppose it depends. If they're at the age where they can go out on their own,
Mm.
then, and you're letting them go and socialize with their friends without adults, then probably, yes, they can contact you in an emergency. Whereas if you've got someone that's like 12 with a phone and what are they using it for? Who are they speaking to? Maybe the danger's more online. But no, I appreciate that. I think I wouldn't care if my family knew where I was. So I'm gonna investigate this iPhone thing you keep talking about. Yeah.
I think there's a feature on Android, Find My Friends or something like that. There's definitely lots of apps that do it. What I'll find when I work with couples, if there's been infidelity or some type of jealousy issues, I'll advise them to use that feature. And I can always tell who's guilty by the look on the face when I make the suggestion.
Mm.
Because some people are like, yeah. And I'm like, it's not that you're going to stalk somebody, but it's just peace of mind knowing that you know where they are. And some people get a real funny look on their face. And I'm like, you are hiding something.
Yeah, it's like on Married at First Sight when they get the couples to swap phones. Unlock your phones and give them to each other for 5 minutes or an hour to have a look at whatever they want. And some couples go, nah, I'm all right. I don't need to see that. I don't want to see that. Yes, sometimes. Very interesting things to be found. So that's a good tip. Why don't you get that app and then just watch their faces?
Yeah, because they're both facing me, so they can't see each other's facial expressions,
Yeah.
but I can. And it's very interesting information. It's very
Hmm.
enlightening. Now, and I don't believe you should go through your partner's phone. I also don't think you should freak out if they want to look at your phone. But in the example of Married at First Sight, like these people didn't know each other before. They're put into this like experiment. And there's things in there that they may be talking to their friends or family members about this person that they're not sure of. And I think it's an invasion of privacy.
Oh, it definitely is, and I think that's why they do it. You know, they're looking for drama.
Very good point. There's a new show, actually. We are totally digressing, but called The Triangle that is by the same producers. And it's quite good as well. Interesting.
Yeah, I've never heard of it, but I will keep my.
So it's the same producers as Married at First Sight, and they'll get people to have two people they possibly could be set up with. And then they text with both and maybe talk with both on the phone. And then they decide who they're going to pick and who they're going to meet. So they do. And then they move into this house that they're going to stay and see if they have anything going on. But then the other person moves in as well, just to cause a bunch of drama.
Oh, that does sound a bit weird.
Yeah. And then they do. Let me see your phone. And all this. And I'm just like, oh, this is just.
What happened to good old fashioned blind date with Cilla Black? Did you have that in USA? A lot,
No.
a lot of laughs. Hey, love. What you looking for in a man? Like, oh, I want a man that's strong and takes me out and treats me well. And then they interview the men about how they would treat a woman, and at the end, she chooses one. It went on for like decades in the UK on live TV. Do you ever see that?
No.
Audience can see everybody, and people would get married after it. Whoever they chose, they'd get to go on an overseas holiday with. That was their prize,
Ooh.
and then they'd catch up with them, and they always broke up at the end. Like, yeah, we got on the date and it wasn't good, but it didn't follow them. It just let you know. But a good few weddings as well. But however, yes, that's our TV recommendations for last century.
Or Naked Attraction.
Oh no! Oh no! 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 No!
I think it is horrific, but I still will watch it. It's if you don't know, it is a UK show. Find it if you can, because it is like, holy shit, you can't quite believe it. And they have someone who's going to come on. They obviously want to meet somebody. And then is it 6 people?
Standing in kind of like telephone boxes.
And they just slowly, gradually raise up the thing. So you'll see like the legs, and then you'll see the midsection, and you'll see the boobs or the chest. Then you see the face.
And they eliminate each time they move it up, they eliminate someone.
Mm.
I only saw one episode, and it was a bisexual woman or a bisexual man. I can't remember, but there was men and women naked up there, and they were just so casual. Oh well, I like that vagina, but that one's a bit messy. And oh yeah, I like a good fat cock, but that one's a bit long and skinny for me.
I
And
know.
it was awful.
But it's hilarious. It's so funny. I've watched like every episode. I'll put it on when I'm like working in the background, and there's obviously you don't need to focus. And yeah, I mean, the thing is, you'd probably dismiss people that you would really like just based on total superficial. So I don't agree with the premise at all. It never seems to work out ever. And the thing is, so they finally get naked. They're naked the whole time. And then the other person gets naked and comes out, and they'll have 2 people to choose from, and they go on a date. It never, ever works out.
Well, there's some evidence for you. Don't choose your partner based on seeing them from the foot up naked.
Yeah. Or just straight up naked. I mean, obviously, there's things that you just aren't your bag,
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I think when choosing a partner purely superficially on their body, I think you're not necessarily going to make the right choice. A lot of men would think they would, and probably women as well. But you know what you're dealing with before you even go there. So that's a good thing, I guess. There's no surprise micro penises or other interesting things. And it surprises me, the people that go on. I'm like, really? You are brave.
Exhibitionists, probably.
Probably, but who knows? But then what do you go to your family event and they're like, "Oh, hey, we've all seen your genitalia. Good for you."
I mean, I'd hope their family wouldn't watch the episode that they were in. I'd hope that. I'd really,
Would
really
you,
hope
if
that.
your brother was on it, so let's say one of your
No,
brothers, would you never
no,
watch?
no, never. I wouldn't
I
watch
would
it if
never watch my brother when I think about it now. Oh God, no. That's just
no,
horrific.
if anybody that I knew was on it, I wouldn't watch it. I just couldn't. Like, I just
No.
no. Except for there's a couple of girlfriends that, as a teenager, I've already seen them all naked, so that would probably be fine. I'm still scarred from those moments, but probably I could watch that again without further trauma. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so here's some recommendations. And so, what were you saying about this alleged murder or kidnap? So, her iPhone.
Kidnapping. So he finds her phone with Find My iPhone with the headphones still plugged in. So a massive search was launched for her with community, family members, including her husband, Keith Papini, pitching in to find her. And at the time, Keith was pleading for public help. He told
For
public
God's
health.
sake, will everyone please fluoridate their water?
Get vaccinated.
My wife is missing. For God's sake, get vaccinated.
Why is it never take your vitamin D and make sure you don't eat like dog shit? Not that you eat actual dog shit, but you know what I mean. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm back. So Keith told ABC News in 2016, it's excruciating. I don't like to think too much about it because I just assume I'm going to get a phone call any second and she's going to show up at my house. A reward was offered for information relating to the case and a GoFundMe A GoFundMe account was set up by the friends of Keith and Sherri to aid the family in search efforts, which raised nearly $50,000. There was also this anonymous donor who offered a reward as well, who also hired a defense contractor who specialized in hostage situations to like negotiate. So there's all these people like ready to go. Of course, Sherri is beautiful and blonde and petite and is just like, it's always the way, isn't it, though, when you have these like beautiful blonde white women, if something happens to them, like the whole world knows about it. Whereas there's a lot of other cases of people that disappear and like the media barely even reports. It's really quite sad. I mean, everyone was looking for this woman. And I, even myself, finding it really interesting and wondering what happened. I was assuming the husband because it's always the husband.
Yeah.
Anyways, 3 weeks later, on Thanksgiving morning, reportedly, she was released by her captors at 4:30, and she was found. She just was like running by the side of the road. She was still wearing restraints at about 150 miles or 240 kilometers, if you are on the metric system, south of where she had disappeared. So she had a chain around her waist, was bound at the wrist and ankles, had bruises, her hair was cut off.
Shit.
She had a shoulder branding that appeared to be a Bible verse, which is an interesting brand. Sherri claimed she was kidnapped by 2 Hispanic women and held in captivity, chained in a closet and fed very little. So horrible, right? But a miracle that she has escaped or been released.
That's unusual as well to be kept by women, except for in like Deliverance or something like that. It was an inbred family. But it'd be quite, unusual.
Exactly. And they even did sketches of the women. And
So did she say she was caught by a woman or just
she said they
kept by-
kidnapped her
Shit.
and kept her. However, inconsistencies in her story and evidence from her past raised suspicions. A recently released 911 call log from 2003 revealed Sherri's mother had reported her daughter for self-harming and was blaming it on her. Other family members also made allegations against Sherri, but no charges were ever filed. Friends and ex-husband revealed her propensity to lie, run away, and make up stories of abuse. Phone records showed that Sherri had been in touch with multiple men before her disappearance. So I even remember, there was a story that she had posted on some website, a lot of quite racist comments and how she was proud to be white and really anti the Hispanic community, which is hugely problematic, right?
Well, yeah, it's not going to make you the, I don't know, the most popular person in town.
No.
On the other hand, I don't think it's enough to make someone probably kidnap her. But yeah.
No, probably not. So, when Sherri was found on November 24th, she initially hesitated to cooperate with the authorities. However, she eventually provided details about her alleged captors, claiming they told her the police were involved in her abduction. Investigators gave Pete Papini a recording device to document Sherri's account. I wonder if she knew she was being recorded.
Yeah, that sounds like, in inverted commas, it's to document her account, not to catch her out in her fibby doos.
Yeah, it's true. Like I've had cases with clients that have still not been able to talk to the authorities because they were so traumatized over what had happened to them. No one ever said that they had given their family member recording devices, but it's actually not a bad idea because when they're at home and relaxed, they will start giving more detail. I'm thinking more in like children's cases when they've been assaulted or something's happened, you can get more detail.
I think though as well, like the importance of getting that information by the police is that they're trained not to lead when drawing the
Mm.
information out. I remember being in the jury at a court case, and the children were doing their testimony, and it showed those original recordings, and you could just see how meticulously careful the police were, so that there was absolutely no way they could put words in those kids' mouth.
Mm.
Even starting with let's play a little game, and it's called Truth and Lies, and what's a truth and who's a lie, and who should you tell the truth to, and who's it okay to lie to, and have this big conversation around it before they even started the story. And I think, yeah, at home, even with adults, it would be so easy to have an emotional reaction to what they're saying and have the person change it either to get a bigger or a weaker reaction.
That's very true. I mean, that is a huge part of how we were trained and how we train our students in hypnotherapy is how not to lead. Because you can literally put in false memories in people's minds. It's crazy how easy it is, and people don't even realize they're doing it. So, in the recordings, Sherri described her purported kidnappers laughing at her, saying no one believed her, and that the buyer was a cop. Sherri's story.
The buyer.
Mm, Sherri's story began to unravel as investigators found inconsistencies in her statements, such as her explanation for being branded. The breakthrough in the case was in 2020 when DNA found on Sherri's clothing led investigators to James Reyes, her ex boyfriend.
Ah, yeah, it's always the ex-boyfriend.
When the police questioned him, Reyes initially said he had not spoken to Sherri in years, but he eventually revealed that she had asked him for help to escape her abusive husband. He also revealed that many of her injuries were self-inflicted or done at her request, including the branding.
Can you brand me? Oh yeah, sure. Just give me that hot poker with the Bible verse in the end. Come on, like even if that's true, he sounds like a dick.
Well, it's just the story of Gone Girl, isn't it?
I haven't seen it, but yeah.
Oh, have you not seen Gone Girl?
Is it a series?
No, it's a movie. Oh,
Ah.
it's Rosemary. Oh, what's her name? You have to
Not
see
Rose
it.
McGowan.
No,
No, she's my favorite.
it's Rosemary something else. I can't remember. Gone Girl, and it's Ben Affleck. And
Oh, that'll be why I can't watch Ben Affleck.
oh, it is so good. You just cannot quite believe it.
Good enough to put up with.
So she fakes her own abduction, and she tells her ex-boyfriend that he had been abusive, and yeah, it's excellent. I have watched it several times, but she is the perfect case study of a like sociopath or a psychopath, basically. But she's also been pushed quite far in order to do this. But yeah, excellent. If you haven't watched Gone Girl, go watch it.
And caveat, and you have the stomach to put up with more than an hour of Ben Affleck in one sitting, then because I don't think I do. But carry on.
Do you not like Ben Affleck? Why not?
Oh no, I don't know. I just don't know. I just can't take him seriously. I think he's got one mode and one mood, and I haven't seen him shift into different ones. I don't know.
What about The Accountant? Have you seen that?
Now I do remember that being really good.
That was excellent.
Yes, and he's in that one.
Mm.
Yeah, okay, that was so good that I didn't even notice it was Ben Affleck. There we go.
Okay. Sherri's decision to return home was motivated by her missing children. Reyes told investigators she was trying to get away from her husband, unaware that Sherri's allegations against Keith were unfounded. Reyes added he didn't know anything about the two Hispanic women who Sherri Papini said held her at gunpoint. He revealed that Papini suggested he rent a car and pick her up. They then traveled 9 hours south to Costa Mesa, where she stayed at his apartment with him for weeks. So Reyes recounted to the investigators how Sherri Papini had asked him to brand her. And I'm like, oh, this is probably going to hurt. I mean, I've never done this. Ray said things like, things changed on Thanksgiving when Sherri told Ray she missed her kids and wanted to go home. She was done after she was branded. Now that the investigators were armed with James Ray's account of the supposed kidnapping, they called Sherri Papini and her husband in again for questioning. So in August 2020, the police questioned Sherri again with her husband by her side and told her they had matched the DNA to Ray's. They told her that Reyes had shared everything he knew. Sherri first deflected the questions about Ray's story, maintaining she did flirt with other men and had stuck to her story that it was two women that abducted her. I don't understand. There's no way this was James. He loves me, she told investigators. I don't know if she talks like that, but that's how I
Definitely
imagine.
she does.
Oh my God, no. So her husband was shocked at the revelations and at one point walked out of the room, of course. He told investigators, so I'm the idiot husband who stayed around the whole time. After confronting Sherri with Ray's story, her husband filed for divorce in 2020. In March, Sherri was arrested and charged with making false statements and mail fraud, costing taxpayers over $300,000 in wasted resources.
So mail fraud.
Yeah, I think that is probably due to. I will tell you in a second because it is
Stealing
listed.
someone's mail. Oh, okay.
They do mail fraud a lot. And it's like mail fraud can represent filing for things falsely, taking money for reasons that you shouldn't, or illegally taking money, which is, I think, what she ended up doing. So the news of her arrest shocked and outraged the writing community. Sherri's case had generated widespread media coverage and garnered significant public interest. The extensive search efforts for Sherri involved local law enforcement, the FBI, numerous volunteers. Yeah, Sherri Papini's case serves as a reminder of complexities in high-profile investigations and the impact of false allegations on communities and families. So in September 2020, a judge sentenced Sherri to serve 18 months in federal prison. This was more than double of what the prosecutors had asked for.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so the judge actually doubled her sentence. She said in court, I am so sorry to the many people who have suffered because of me. The people who sacrificed for the broken woman I was. The people who gave willingly to help me at a time I so desperately needed help. I thank you all. Besides the prison sentence, Sherri is also asked to pay around $310,000 in restitution. Early authorities had stated that the hoax involved kidnapping and her cashing checks from the California Victims Compensation Board and Social Security disability income cost the taxpayers about the same amount. So I guess the whole thing and what she actually took and received added up to around $310,000, which is a shit ton of money.
Yes, fucking hell.
Yeah. So today, Sherri remains incarcerated at the Medium Security Federal Correctional Institute in Victorville, California. So according to official records, she's expected to be released on February 11th, 2024.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, you can tell what she's going to do next, can't you? She's going to do it again.
You think?
Well, I don't know about USA, but is she going to have to pay back that $300,000 if she doesn't have it, or is she just going to go bankrupt?
She probably will just be able to go bankrupt.
Because if she does that, then 18 months for $300,000 and a bit of play acting, and probably she'll do it again. I don't know. I don't trust her.
Well, it's interesting. I was thinking about that case, and I was wondering what psychological issues does she have?
Well, she certainly likes attention.
Mm-hmm.
And she, rather than issues, I know that she's got skills because she persuaded someone to brand her. Although, and I was going to say she must be pretty because
she is.
she could probably like look men around her finger. Oh, but this is what I like. I like it when you do this. Please do that for me. I know it's
Just
super
love
weird.
it being branded. I was thinking about it. I was thinking there's a good possibility she's got histrionic personality disorder. So people with histrionic, I think it's like 2 or 3% of the population. In LA, it's like 50% of the population. Histrionic, I think that came into the mainstream with the Amber Heard case and
Hmm.
Johnny Depp, and they talked a lot about how she had histrionic personality disorder. But I think anyone who, not anyone, but a lot of people who get into acting or modeling or in some way getting attention tend to have histrionic disorder or just traits of it. So they do real attention seeking behaviors. They have exaggerated emotions. They have a strong need for approval and validation for others. They also have a tendency to lie or manipulate situations.
And this is something I think has been exacerbated by social media of the now, with trending and stuff going viral. As people get a bit of attention, makes them feel good, so they seek more of it. Like they become addicted to it. Like give me more, give me more, give me more, and then whether they have to lie to get that attention, they'll do it.
Absolutely. But you can spot them. The other thing I thought she possibly could have borderline personality disorder because that's the real unstable emotions, relationships, impulsive behavior, self harm, lying, also feelings of emptiness or abandonment. But the other one I was thinking that could apply is factitious disorder imposed on self. Now,
Factitious.
factitious disorder imposed on self, which is what used to be called Munchausen syndrome. So
Ah,
they've changed the
okay.
name. So it's now factitious disorder. And then so if it's within yourself and getting attention, it's imposed on self. And if it's most people know Munchausen's by proxy. And that's when it's the movie where the mom is poisoning the kid just a little bit, just to get attention.
Hmm.
But there's a lot of people who have factitious disorder for themselves, right? So they will deliberately do things to get attention, which is interesting because they will inflict harm upon themselves, such as cutting or poisoning, and they will do anything to get attention and sympathy.
I think we can agree that she's not operating in her best life, at the very least.
Or most
that,
stable mental health.
that there's most certainly something missing there.
Mm,
Maybe a processing unit in her brain or heart, but something's missing that that's not operating. She needs to like go off to the jungle and live for 5 years or something, and back to nature in a, I don't know, Kalahari desert, something just subsistence with no attention, just food and sunshine
mm.
and living and bloody hell. Well, yep. Watch who you date, guys and girls, because you don't want one of these factitious by against self or proxy. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just interesting, and I wonder how much trauma she had when she was younger.
Perhaps none. Perhaps lots, but I don't know. I think one of the things that is being discussed a bit in the podcast that I listen to anyway about these kind of the growth of these disorders and personality disorders is that it's a modern thing where there's just maybe an emptiness. Everybody has everything they need, but they're craving meaning and they're craving stardom or fame or to be seen, to be heard, to have value. To like all their value comes from if other people like their pages, not from internal values.
Mm.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It could be, or yeah, of course. I mean, it'd be awful if she suffered some kind of trauma throughout her life, but well, Sherri, if you want to come on the podcast and talk about it, we'll try not to make fun of you live.
It's funny, as I was before getting on here, I was talking to my stepmother who has had a traumatic brain injury, and she fell down a flight of stairs. She's very lucky to be alive. She is still in hospital. And I was telling her like because we were talking about the different cases we could possibly talk about. And she was saying, oh, definitely Sherri Papini. And you should call her and get her on the podcast. I was like, I don't know. And she's like, I bet she'd love to talk to you. I don't think that's just being supportive mom as well. But,
Well, she's out in a year.
She's in jail. So there'd definitely be some arranging to do. But it was just quite funny. Oh, here, I'll see if I can call her. And I was just like, maybe not today. You just focus on getting better.
Bless her heart.
Yeah. But she's so smart, my stepmother. She's top lawyer, like would win advocate of the year. Even if she lost a lot of IQ points, she'd still be smarter than me. So she's going to be fine. But yeah, it was just funny. Okay.
Excellent.
So that is Sherri Papini. We did some recommendations, didn't we?
Yeah, first insert advert here. Here is an advert for something that we're going to advertise. I don't know what it could be. Maybe it's the hypnotherapy school. Maybe it's our new alcohol product launching soon. But whatever it is, in this space, either you'll hear this and you'll be having a laugh, or we'll replace it with an advert later for something that we do. And so recommendations.
Well, we should do an advert for our product that is available now called Wind Down. Have you been drinking too much?
Have you been drinking too much? You have been drinking too much.
Are you feeling out of control with alcohol? I think you might be. If so, you need to check out our new product, Wind Down.
Because so many people, they don't want to just have like no wine, and they also don't want to have all the wine. So if you want to reduce how much you're having, or it could be beer or whiskey or sherry, if you want less sherry in your life, don't listen to this podcast. But if you would like less sherry, then wind down. Check out our product. Link in the description.
And it's lots of neuroscience, suggestions on how to balance your brain, your belief systems, and it's got lots and lots of guided meditations and hypnotherapy tracks that'll help you change it at that very, very deep level. So it's just easy for you. And that's what we do, is make it easy when we're not annoying the shit out of you on this podcast.
Exactly.
Well, do you have any other suggestions?
You know, I just binged a bloody season.
So you have a recommendation?
Yes, it's called Love After Music, and it's a true story. It follows a rock singer from Argentina who grew up in Rosario and how he grew up in music without his mom. And when he was born and started performing, it was at a time when the junta was in charge and rock music was kind of banned. So it was a way to kind of hit back at the establishment. So it's quite dangerous. But it's right at the end of that, so it's not like a scary one. But it's just a cool story about someone finding their rhythm, finding their voice, finding their music, and the journey that they took. So if you like that kind of thing, you know, I loved Bohemian Rhapsody, or the one about
Eddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury. It has me in mind of that. It's not the same, but it's a whole season, and it's a really nice vibe. So if you enjoyed that, then try Love After Music.
We've been watching Love and Death, which is on Prime, and it's based on a true story. It's very good. It's still going through it, but based in the 70s, where this woman, it's what's Olsen, but it's the older Olsen sister. What's her name? She's really good.
I thought they were identical twins.
Is it Kate and Ashley Olsen? And then there's the older one. I want to say Miriam, but
oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, she's really good. But I don't want to give it away, but she's bored in her life and she's quite vivacious. And so she decides she's going to have an affair. And she chooses a particular man who she happens to be friends with his wife to have an affair with.
Mm-hmm.
And it does not end well.
Quelle surprise.
Yeah, I know. That's a note for you people out there. Do not fuck your friends' husbands or
Well,
wives or non-binary partners.
speaking of having sex with someone's husband, the season that I binge watched when I wasn't well last week,
Mhm.
so I stayed up like all night watching it because I couldn't sleep, and it was called What If. Have you seen it?
No, you told me about it though. It's Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, and who is by?
I can't watch her.
Well, it was on form. Like she is looking sexy. Like she is just stunning in this. Her character, her acting, it's brilliant.
She had her eyes done, and it's like, to me, it's like Jennifer Grey after the nose job.
Well, that's what I thought, and I thought, what's happened? Because I couldn't watch her after she had her eyes done, but it's like they've gone back to normal now.
Oh, good.
Like over time or something, because she looks her again, and she's older as well. Like she's matured well.
Are you sure she hasn't? It's not before she got her eyes done?
No, because it's new. Like you can tell because she's like, approaching 50 in it in the TV
Because
show.
I think that came out a little while ago.
Yeah, probably a few years ago. But the I won't tell you too much. But the premise is: have you seen Indecent Proposal?
Yes.
Yeah, so I haven't, but I knew about it. I think it came out when I was too young to watch it, but everybody knew what it was. And so that it starts off implying that it's going to be like that. This very wealthy woman says, I'll invest this much in your company that you need to keep it going, $80 million, if I can have your husband for the night. And then I won't tell you anything after that.
I'd be like, sure, here you go. Though you do know that would open up a whole can of worms. But yeah, if they could, $80 million, go for it. This is terrible. Would you do it if someone said, give you $80 million for a night with Juan?
That's a very interesting question. Well, look, if you watch this movie, then you would definitely say no at the end of it.
Well, someone needs to be pretty much unhinged to offer that, right?
And like, what is it? Yeah, it's the second rule was that he's not allowed to talk to you about what happens. So you're never allowed to know what happened that night. Otherwise, the contract's broken, and I get your whole company. So it's there's a few things to it, and I think at the beginning, like you say, 80 million, yeah, take him, yeah, have him for the night. But you watch this, and you do see that it's more complicated than that, and that as you say, the type of person that's going to offer that money, what is it that they really want? And so that's the dilemma, as it's called in Spanish. Not what if, the dilemma.
Oh, well, I'll have to check it out. I think I watched the first episode, but it was a few years ago, I'm pretty sure.
Give it another go.
I used to really like her. I don't know what it is about her that just isn't. I guess it's you with that Ben Affleck, right? Some people just.
You just don't like them. But didn't you see her in like Empire Records? Did you have that in the 90s?
Yeah.
Empire Records?
Yeah, I liked her basically until when she did something that I didn't like. I don't know.
Bridget Jones?
No, I did like Bridget Jones. I don't know. And I'm sure she's a perfectly nice person. My ex-husband used to say she had a face like a slapped ass.
How rude. How rude.
Okay, we should not be saying this because he said she always just had a
yeah, she did look like
pouty.
Yeah, but that's why she was so cute. And she has such a cute singing voice in that Empire Records. She sung like at the end of the movie, she sings with the band.
I'll have to watch that again because that is a cult favorite, Empire Records.
Oh, I'd watch it over and over and over again. It's probably rubbish now.
A friend of mine did a whole podcast series on that movie.
A series on Empire Records.
A full-on podcast. I can't remember what it's called, but my friend Sarah Gandy did one. I didn't listen to it. Sorry, Sarah.
Sarah, I will listen to your podcast on Empire Records.
I don't remember being that taken with the movie. Like, it was good, but I wasn't obsessed. So, I don't know. To each their own.
Well, on that fantastic note.
Yeah. So, if you want to write to us and tell us a murder you'd like us to cover? And is there any true crime stories? We were tossing up the Night Stalker, the Murdaugh
I still want to
family.
hear the Night Stalker one. Let's do
Yeah,
that soon.
we'll definitely do that.
Well, luckily now you can get Google Chrome extensions that you can go onto a website and then you could say to the AI extension, summarize this web page and tell me what it says about the battery life of this recorder or whatever. Like it will just quickly search it and it will summarize it for you. So yeah, ChatGPT, you're going down. We're moving on.
I love ChatGPT, but you do have to watch it. It's not perfect, that's for sure. Give us a review, share us with your friends, send us your story, and
give us a 5-star review and email us wtfstoriesandadvice@gmail.com. What do you want to know? Give us some feedback. Tell us if you need some advice and you want us to like speak for way too long, telling you all the things you didn't want to know about your problem, then we will do that for you.
Yes, that's our specialty. Bye.
Bye.
There goes a sight from my soul.